Hey Kevin, how's it going?
Very good, Ariel. High five.
Yeah. All right, Little Bear wants to join us. She just ripped right off the bat. Okay, here's Little Bear. Okay, come on, get up here. Get up here. We're at our favorite spot here. Boulder Drop.
Boulder Drop.
Yeah, on the Skycomish River. So, hey everyone. I'm here today with a very special guest, Kevin Hoffmann. He is a dear friend of mine, and I met Kevin about 4 years ago, 2016. He was a safety kayaker for the rafting company that I work for, and he's been running rivers for over 20 years.
20 years of running rivers, yep.
Yeah. And it's actually really funny how we met. I was getting pulled over on my motorcycle.
On her Harley, with no hands.
I was pretending I was flying, and the cop pulled me over, and as they were impounding my motorcycle, I called Kevin for the first time and asked him for a ride. So he came to pick me up, and then we spent the next 3 days learning how to roll. He taught me how to roll a kayak.
Whitewater kayak, yeah.
And since then, we've been on many adventures together.
Absolutely. Lots of adventures, yes.
Yeah. Lots of first times for me. First time together. First time
down Boulder Drop, first multi-day trip, first time to the Grand Canyon,
yeah.
First time in a kayak, first time you surfed,
yeah.
time, what we got? First time rafting this in a commercial raft. This drop behind us, which is Boulder Drop. Yeah, a lot of firsts.
Yeah, then we did two trips on the Grand Canyon together.
Ariel met her husband Ross there.
That's where I met Ross.
On his first trip down the Grand Canyon, you met Ross, and he's now done another one. Congratulations, you met your husband on the Grand Canyon.
Thank you. So when I first met Kevin, after we got off the river, I thought, wow, this dude is so cool.
It's nice.
He's a badass kayaker.
Okay.
He's traveled all over the place, been on lots of solo adventures, and the stories that I have heard and learned over the years. Christmas together with our family is really fun with Ross's family, and we get to hear all the amazing stories. Everyone enjoys them.
There's lots of good stories.
Yeah.
Kayaking, like adventure, gives you good stories for sure. Almost done, gives you great stories.
So that's what inspired this. I wanted to interview badass kayakers and raft guides because they have so many cool stories, and they're some of the most absolutely interesting people I've ever met. So Kevin, what motivated you to do such an extreme sport like whitewater kayaking?
Well, I was 25 years old. My grandmother was ill with dementia, and my father was dying of Lou Gehrig's disease. And I moved from Idaho back over to the Seattle area to help take care of my sick, ailing family. The last thing I did in Idaho was run a salmon river in an inflatable kayak, and it really struck with me. And I kind of felt cheated. I felt that I got cheated in life. I saw all the people out having fun, they're young, and I'm in nursing home after nursing home, and I was going to get it back. I'm like, I'm getting it back. And so I was going to do the most thing I really wanted to do to get it back. And when I saw a whitewater class, then I went ahead and took this whitewater class, and definitely changed my life. At 27, I'm almost 50 now.
Wow.
Yeah, 23 years
You're
ago.
living the dream.
Trying.
So some people think kayakers are crazy. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, the thing about whitewater kayaking is that there's done some climbing, and climbing, everything is supposed to be under control. Everything needs to be under control. In whitewater, things just aren't under control. I mean, it's a very random sport. You're in a place that's continually moving and changing. It's never the same drop twice. They're always, every level is different. And when things go bad, you're upside down. You can't get air. You can't hear. You can't see. And then you have to perform this really athletic move, which is called rolling yourself back up. And basically, it's a time thing, and you got your first roll. Well, if you get your first roll, congratulations. The second time, you're a little bit more out of air, and you go for your second roll. If it doesn't work, well, you go for your third roll. Maybe you're trying, you're thinking while you're under there. And if not, you swim the drop. But when you swim the drop, you're out of your kayak, you've lost your flotation, you're completely out of control, and you don't have any air.
Have you done a lot of swimming in your days?
I don't try to swim. I try not to swim. I try to go for the third roll, because once you get out of your kayak, you're banging rocks, you're going into logs, everything. Your kayak is not an asset. Your kayak is pulling you into different places. You got a paddle, and that you're trying to deal with. And so I try not to swim, but yes, everybody is between swims. Everybody swims once in a while.
You've rescued me quite a few times.
I rescued a few people quite a few times. Look at them for rescuing people.
Yeah. Lots of people. What is your scariest moment?
Well, one of the scariest moments, I was out on the Chihuahua River. Chihuahua, out of Leavenworth, yeah. Okay. And I happened to just get up and be a sunny day, and I decided, like, yeah, I'm going kayak. And so I was going to solo this run, drop my kayaking gear up at the top, I go to the bottom, and then I'm going to the top again. There's cars everywhere, and I'm on this little scooter thing. I'm scared. So I go to put on the river. I'm having a hard time finding a place to put on. Man, this is weird. So anyway, finally I put myself in this kayak, and I put the skirt on, get out. I'm not out, I mean a quarter mile, and I realized this thing's at flood. I didn't check the level.
Oh.
And man, I know this river has a ton of logs, and it's at flood, and there's no place to go. There's no eddies. It's hard to get out of this river. And so my level of stress immediately was rising. The first thing I do is I'm trying to find ways to actually kind of tune myself up to this environment. And I found one eddy. I mean, like in a mile. One eddy. That's it. That I can find. Everything else is just up to the top. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look way far away. So if I see a rock, I can like run my kayak right on the shore and grab onto stuff, and not get stuck in one of these log jams. The log jams are these logs. They are these branches, and your kayak goes in there and slams these branches, and you get tucked into this mess, and they call them strainers. And so as I'm looking out on this drop and taking this right-hand turn, I'm looking way far out, and I look right in front of me, and there's a log. And I catch this barely eddy, and it's right behind me, and it's boiling, and it's blowing up. And I know I have to get out of this eddy, get enough speed, hit this log, which is like this far out of the water, and that's a pretty hard thing to jump in a kayak. I knew that.
You were trying to jump a log.
I'm trying to jump a log in my kayak. It was full of branches, and I'm trying to hit this spot. It's right behind me to even get any kind of speed. I remember pulling out, and I'm trying to pull out because it's bubbling, and I can't do it, and I barely get myself back into this thing. And I'm like, the longer I wait here, the worse it's going to get. I pull out of this drop, and I hit this log, and I hook on the other side of my kayak, and everything I had, I end up pulling myself over this log.
Wow.
And yeah, it's scary. And as I went to the other side,
did you like want to start crying? Or were you, like,
I
really
felt
scared?
pretty stressed out. I really felt pretty stressed out. But after there was this like nice little peaceful little spot, and out comes this butterfly. Lands right on top of my kayak. And I think that this near-death experience that I just came through, it kind of just brought this beautiful butterfly to me. And I just really appreciated that. So, pretty bad. Yeah.
Butterflies, I saw a lot of those
Beautiful.
on the canyon every
Kind of
time.
makes you appreciate the little things in life
Yeah.
that pretty much are that close to that. Yeah.
Well, what do you love about kayaking? It sounds like
It's a lot I love about kayaking is, first of all, you get to meet a lot of great friends. You really have to have a good attitude. If you do not have a good attitude, it will not serve you in any way, shape, or form. It forces that upon you. And it's the adventure of it. The adventure of it. I love the adventure of going out, finding new things, being with new people, and really putting yourself in a situation. You get to know yourself. And you also get to know the people around you. And that's when you're living in a cushy bed or watching TV or out in your cushy little car, you ain't learning anything in life. You learn stuff in life and you test yourself, you stress yourself a little bit out. That's kind of where you figure out who you are, and that's where you really kind of grow.
So what kind of things do you think about before you go into a big drop?
Well, it's interesting. I did like this work with, I got a dog named Lucy, and I did this work where I was wanting to take my dog on these river trips. And so what I did is I did some training with her. I realized that the brain is like this blank sheet of paper, and you can actually push like little buttons with your psychology and then create this dog. Because with not negative or positive experiences, but if you just emphasize these positive experiences, then you can actually build this thing. Well, I worked pretty good with my dog. My dog was really well trained, so I could take it on the river. And then I'm like, man, I'm going to try this with a girlfriend. So I did. Beautiful girl. Taught her how to kayak in a few months. Took her down the Grand Canyon by using all these positive experiences. And so after that, I thought, well, if I can do it for my dog, I can do it for my girlfriend, what can I do for me? How can I really create this emotion? How can I'm in an area that's really full of stimuli. How can I do that? And so many years ago, before I come into a drop, I think of what is like the most amazing thing. I think truly the most amazing thing is our American soldiers fighting for freedom. I feel so lucky to be able to have the pursuit of happiness, the freedom of speech, the liberty, our justice system. We have this beautiful Constitution and these amazing guys that have fought and died for me. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to be here. And so I'm really thankful for these guys. What happens is I go into these drops, and I've done this for multiple years. I just get so happy because it's not just been one time I've done this. It's been multiple times that I've done this, and I just like it's just you feel brave and you feel energetic, and it's like fireworks of goodness just exploding inside you. It's so great. This is unlike anything else in the world. So everyone I go and I suggest for everyone that if you need energy, think of those great guys that have fought and died for this country throughout for hundreds of years, 200 years now. These guys, we have decided to create a beautiful land like this. So it just makes you appreciate it more.
Yeah. Thank you guys out there. So I know you've done a lot of multi-day solo trips. What's that like?
Well, I think that when I'm doing I see like you have rafting, and then you have kayaking, and then you have solo trips. And rafting is a lot different than kayaking. A big raft, lots of gear, lots of times. And when you're kayaking, it's like you're agile. Like rafting's like you got a big like semi truck full of gear, and people. Kayaking's like you got a sports car, and then you got solo kayaking. And solo kayaking is as different as any of those three. It's a totally different frame of mind. And many times when I go out there, I'll have to admit, I'm angry. I'm angry.
You're angry?
Yeah, I start out a lot of times angry. It drives me to these areas, and I go out there and I mumble to myself, and then I get up the next morning, and for some reason, once I get up the next morning, I wake up to the river all by myself. It just becomes euphoria. And that's when I usually start my euphoria. I mean, that's like the beginning, like you're planting this seed of like, oh, I'm so lucky. This is so great. Look what I have. This is so awesome. And the thing about it is, if I didn't do that type of thing, it gets dangerous. I know that.
Yeah.
If I'm living in and it's in my own head, I can't blame anybody else but myself. There's no one out there to say, hey, you're the one's causing the problem, that's causing the problem. It's 100% me. If there's a problem in this world, it's 100% me. And I like that. I like having taken full responsibility for myself. And so then I get into a deeper sense of appreciation and thankfulness. And what's happened is, with my grandmother and my father's death, I had this belief that, or still do, that it kind of put me on a spiritual pathway. And at the time I was going to church, and I realized when I was going to church that the people I was around with in church really weren't that happy. They kind of said they were happy, but they really weren't that happy. And so the people on the river were really happy, genuinely happy, and they were really genuinely accepting. A lot of times in religions, they're not that accepting, but the kayaking community really accepted me, especially when I was a believer. So from that, I believe that if I could take this want I had for understanding how the world works, then I could, in a sense, further myself. And so, for all this time, I, in a sense, created my own personal type spirituality, and it is very close to the way that the water works. And that is 3 basic rules of life. The first rule we have is all energy is related to another energy. And so the river comes down through, and then it goes into an ocean, and then evaporates, turns into the sky, clouds, snow, falls down, melts, comes right back to the river again. Everything has a oneness. Everything has a relationship to it. The second thing I learned is that everything is relative and trying to find balance. Everything, if you put water, it automatically is always trying perfect balance. It finds perfect balance in the lake. You use it for levels and measuring tools because it's always going after perfect balance. And I see that, like the yin and yang, there's this relationship that you have with things. You have black, and you have white, and you have male, and you have female. And so when you're out there, what's it like? And so I asked the question, if everything is relativity, is like Albert Einstein would say, everything is relative, then what's relative to reality?
To reality?
To reality.
It's a good question.
That's a deep
I
question.
think we're all trying to figure that out.
And my answer is that's a dream. And if you're in a dream, that's the closest thing to reality. That's the thing that's relative to the closest thing to reality. That's the thing that basically is relative to reality. Because when you're in a dream, you really don't know you're dreaming. Everything is being created around you. That seems real, but really isn't real in the dream, but it seems to be real when you're there. And if you live your life and you really shouldn't be afraid of going to sleep, you really shouldn't be afraid of going up. But as you, in a sense, wake up, it's like a form of dying. It's kind of going through that dying process. So your dream is like a mini dying process. Being born, going through something and dying. And I see that with life. Life is like that too. We shouldn't be afraid. We have to die. You have to be afraid of death, because if not, we would all just walk off a cliff. It's part of this, and that's the third thing, and that's called the design. We have to be afraid of dying. If we weren't afraid of dying, then we would all just walk off cliffs and wouldn't live. The third thing is we live in a design, and God has created this design, and it's like a game board that we're living in. And that is just a game board too. That river's a game board. All I'm doing is playing a game. The game is trying to win. I follow the rules of God, and if I do that well, then I win the game. And winning is staying alive is one thing for sure. Having a good time, and really finding yourself.
Yeah.
The rivers are about figuring out, going through fear defines part of who you are. Either you're going to break, you're going to try to control it, and you're not going to control that river. There's no way you're going to control that river.
No.
There's no way. You are not God. You are dancing with God on the river. You are definitely second fiddle. And be happy that you just feel blessed that you found the place. It's a beautiful place.
How would you say the river has changed you, and what are some lessons that you've learned?
The river's changed me because I had a lot of anger, and so it gives you a place to not have rules. You set your boundaries, you set your rules. No one generally tells you can't do this, you shouldn't do this. You're free. You're free. Like the guys that give us a full freedom, and you get you're responsible for yourself. So but there's no rules.
Yeah.
There's no laws that say you have to go this speed limit, you have to stop here or anything. It's complete and total freedom. And being able to have that freedom has been able to let me grow myself, and by growing myself has been able to take away some of that anger and convert that into where I'm a lot better person.
So it's like we're seeking freedom and we're finding it on the river.
Yeah.
The rivers, well, most of them, some of them are free.
They're trapped.
And a lot of them are.
They can be free like everything else. God loves freedom.
Yeah.
God is about freedom. You can look. What do? You got to put something. You take away their freedoms.
The rivers were free at one time, but yeah, the freedom.
The freedom's gone, yeah, because it's not supposed to be that. In the design, our rivers are supposed to be free, and we've dammed up our rivers, and we've destroyed our rivers, and there's things in there that aren't supposed to be there. There's fish that aren't supposed to be there. There's weeds that aren't supposed to be there, and they're being polluted. And people aren't out there. They should go out there and they should spend some time on a raft and take a raft trip.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you're going to learn. You can sit there and see a book or something. You're going to like, that's not going to learn. And everybody changed. We've both been raft guys.
But what about people who, watch some YouTube videos, get a kayak, and then think they're just going to go hit the river, or...
Well, I suggest they don't. It's like the two groups is really extreme kayaking. Yes, your potential for death is higher than if you're just a moderate kayaker, stay in bounds. And some people really like to push the really high levels. And to be honest, most of them do make it. I mean, most time it doesn't really happen that often. But new boaters, people that don't know what they're doing, have a huge risk of death on the river. And the example is that this is a section that we run here. It's been 100 years, and we've had 2 recreational kayaker deaths. And this gets run constantly, all the time.
Yeah, it does.
And for instance, just up here, we've had 7 deaths at a swimming hole up there at Eagle Falls this year. 7 deaths in 1 year compared to 2 deaths in over 100 years. And I would definitely say that this probably gets more usage by kayakers than that area up there. And the year before, we had 5 deaths down below. I mean, it's ridiculous. These people are going into log jams. They're getting drunk. They're not wearing life jackets. They take a cooler full of beer and they tie it around their ankle, and it turns into a wave, pulls them down the river.
Inner tubes.
Yeah.
Together. Depending on what sections of rivers, some of the rivers are kind of like lakes,
Yeah, and they
pretty
still
flat,
are dangerous.
but understanding how to read water
Respect.
at least, or being with somebody who does know how to read water and understand the river.
Yeah, it takes somebody knowledgeable. I mean, Native American Indians were out there teaching these things for hundreds of years. They got it. I mean, I read like Lewis and Clark, and they're talking about when it's okay to cross the pass, and it talks the same thing that we see that happens almost all the time. It goes peak, down, peak, down. That's pretty much how the rivers flow. So after the second peak, you pretty much know you're not going to hit floodwaters. That's almost a guarantee. It's not 100%, it's probably 70, 80%. And so the Nez Perce Indians would take these sticks and they put them in the area, right in the river. Every time it's high water at the same time, they track these sticks and make the same graphs they're using today on figuring out where the flows are at. So there's a lot of knowledge that these rivers can bring to us if you just want to go out there and experience the outdoors and experience these type of things. You'll gain knowledge, but it's not given to you. You have to seek it.
Some people, when the river peaks, they go chase the rivers, and some people they want to run away from them.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes, that happens. A lot of floodwaters can be really fun.
So I know you've rafted over 10 years with your dog Lucy. You talked about Lucy a little bit ago. You've done a lot of river miles with her.
Done a lot.
So
1,000 river miles from here to Wyoming. Seattle to Wyoming, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's it like rafting with a dog? How do you manage that?
Well, first of all, I had a trainer. And I knew that, and that's why, I trained her. Yeah, I trained her. I was talking about that before, and it's very important that this dog can do certain things so that I'm not put in a compromised position, and my dog's not put in a compromised position, and my friends aren't put in a compromised position. This is really important. And so I've taught her when she was in a raft to go in the center, and the outside of the raft is going to be more flipping, and the middle is less. And so I'd say, mount, mount. And she'd go in the middle and she'd get down and she'd crouch down and she's like, oh, ride this whole thing through. And by the time she was about 2.5, I didn't have to say anything. I was done. I was done trying to say, here comes what I need to do. She just looked at it, got in the middle, did all her running and riding it through. The dog always had a life jacket on. You're going to train your dog how to put a life jacket on. Put the life jacket on, get her excited, have fun. Every time this life jacket goes on, we're gonna have a good time. She loved it. And I don't sadly, but I would like look and I'd see beautiful this, and then I'd see dog butt. Beautiful dog butt.
What kind of dog is he?
It's a little golden retriever, yellow lab, mutt. I specifically went out and found this dog. I had the same dog when I was a kid. This dog loves water. To this day, she's 11 years old, and she's tired. She's had a pretty good life.
When she's in the water,
when she's in the water, she's like back at it. I mean, she's 88 years old, dog years, but she's like, woohoo, I'm ready to go right in the water, jump in. Still fully excited about being on the river. And I've had many beautiful experiences with my dog, for sure.
She's a very sweet dog.
Beautiful.
So what are some of your favorite rivers?
Well, the Grand Canyon is pretty special to me. I find it to be very spiritual. It has had a lot of good moments. Where I had a beautiful girl I took and taught to kayak. My first Grand Canyon trip, I was 49 years old and had my birthday on it.
You've had like 8 birthdays?
A couple birthdays.
On the canyon now? I don't know, a few?
Couple.
A few?
Yeah.
I celebrated 2 of them with you on the canyon.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice that I was able to do that. Happy to get my birthday a few times. And also we were at it, the shortest trip is 21 days.
The shortest?
The shortest trip is 21 days. The longest trip is 29 days. And what happens is you lose the real world and your whole world becomes very small. And the things about where we talk, we can hardly, most people can't even get like 5 seconds or 10 seconds out without being interrupted. You can hardly tell a story to people. They're all just gotta change. But after a while, you start to listen to your friends, and you start to listen to yourself, and you start to actually listen to the quietness. You start to listen to the rivers, and it becomes really deep. About day 11 or 12, everything just changes. And your friends, and you're out there with your friends, and like Ariel has her husband, she met on the Grand Canyon, Ross, and I had an amazing experience. Lava, which is the biggest drop, I think Ross did it 26 times,
Yeah.
and I did it 12 times, and we thought, it's COVID-19 thing. Yeah, that was COVID-19 was
right
coming in.
before
We were
COVID.
going to doomsday, We heard from somebody who was texting, we're like, this is crazy, what's going on here? We're going to go to the apocalypse.
So,
And so
when
going
we
to,
were getting off the river, that's when the COVID was going
Yeah,
down.
we
So
were like, we
going back
started-
to the apocalypse.
we were going back to the apocalypse. We started out, COVID-19 wasn't that big of a deal. Nobody cared. Actually, somebody made a joke about it. Oh, because somebody had a mask on, he had strep throat. You know, you got COVID-19. And
I didn't even know what it was.
I did.
What's that?
Whatever, what a joke. We
Yeah.
come back and the whole world's going crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm on this drop, and I remember saying to one of my friends on the Grand Canyon, right? Because we planned. I mean, I literally was gearing up to do as many times as I could down the greatest drop, one of the greatest drops ever, which is lava on the Grand Canyon. And I'm gearing up to do it as many times as I could. And what I was just telling you about this beautiful American male that fights for freedom, and I just kept pounding this in my brain again and again as I'm explosions of beautiful whitewaters around me, and knowing that I said it's going to be better. I mean, if this is going to be the last time I'm in the Grand Canyon, I'm going to the apocalypse. Well, I'm going to have a good time. And that was a beautiful time with friends and enjoying that.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
A lot of fun to watch with her beautiful husband. He's a great guy, super great guy, and that there's bonds when you with people when you're doing these things. You create these bonds. You all do. We all do when we're in these situations. We create these bonds. So things that are always not necessarily you think are bad, maybe aren't bad. They may be actually the things that are good. So you have to have bad to have good. I would say, if there wasn't a tragedy, then you couldn't have a hero. It's all you can get.
So I know, like you said, you've been down the canyon multiple times and many other rivers, and you could be an ambassador for the river. What would you say to people? How would you? Oh.
We only have a certain amount of fresh water.